So they see famine coming all throughout Europe, and they see famine coming also in America. And then listen to this, the article says it doesn't help that China is hoarding key food products, stockpiling corn and wheat to safeguard its own population. So we have to ask the question, why is China hoarding corn and wheat unless their scientists can also see that something in the terms of famine is on the way? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad warned us about this decades ago. And he said, because we got to give you action items, that every last one of us should have at least 90 days of non-perishable foods stored up in our houses. Non-perishable means things that cannot spoil. So don't go out buying meat or milk or these things that can expire in just a couple of days. Get things that can sit in cans and glasses that can survive a long time. And this is the beauty of our powerful and lovely MGT class of the Nation of Islam. These sisters, aside from already learning how to cook, along with their cooking, they also learn how to can so that they can protect their families and store these non-perishable items and they won't spoil. But also keep in mind, brothers and sisters, that we have to be wise about where we store these 90 days worth of perishable foods. Most of us default to our basements, to our crawl spaces. But if you look particularly at the floods that took place in Kentucky over the past couple of weeks, when you research that story, you'll see that the flood waters came inside of their homes and down the street, that in the middle of the street, you could see all of the disaster preparedness supplies. You could see canned goods. You could see everything floating away because they never considered that a natural disaster can disrupt where we're safeguarding these items and put it right out into the midst of the street for the regular man and woman. So don't just store up 90 days of non-perishable. Be wise about where you secure them, because in the event of a natural disaster, we still want to have these options to go to when times get rough. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said during that time, things would get so rough that people will barely be able to walk the streets. Now, saying this 5 or 10 years ago, you may have shrugged us off and said, that's that old Muslim conspiracy theory. Get that out of here, man. The Muslims always talking that talk. But I want to recall your memory, because now that we're out of the pandemic, allegedly, we forget how it felt when it first started. Go back in your mind when the shut-in announcement was made and that everybody had to be inside of their homes. Don't you remember going to the supermarket looking for toilet paper, looking for water, and there being none? People going to fisticuffs and throwing blows just to get the last items that remain? So if we sit on the guidance that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan are giving us, we will find ourselves in the shuffle and the scuffle with everybody else. But if we be wise men and women and take the precautions and begin to make the necessary steps when everything appears to be okay, then when the time comes and people are showing up with a concealed carry to the grocery store and saying that last bag of toilet paper is mine, Chief, we'll be in a position that we can just stay in our homes, be completely safe, go into those reserves, and begin to utilize the application of the divine guidance that we got from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And last thing I'll say, I'm just talking about things that I hear, right? We have to replenish our supply. So some of us will go in the garage or in the crawl space and grab our navy beans. Like, I don't feel like going to the store, and we'll cook them, not realizing that we are depleting the 90-day storage ration that we were trying to set aside. So we always have to go back in our minds and replenish the stock if we take something from it, but also replenish the stock if too much time goes by as well. So if you have that same stored goods from 5 years ago, go ahead and buy you some new ones. Go ahead and throw all of the old ones out or use what you can, but replenish your stock so that in the time of emergency, because we are in the fall of America, we will have more than enough to get our families through.